What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be focusing on what you should be doing to prepare for the release of Tribbie. She should be coming out in about 2 weeks time, and there's just enough time for you to prepare and farm up the necessary materials and or relics. If this video is well received, I will start doing pre-farming guides for pretty much every single character that comes out, including reruns. So let me know in the comments what you think of this type of video. This one is a bit of a shorter video, but before we begin, let's hear from our friends over at lootbar.gg. Click the link in the description. It's going to take you to lootbar.gg. In here, you're going to find your favorite games like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Zone Zero, and you can buy their premium currencies at a discounted price. The process is very simple. All you need is your UID and your server, so make sure this information is correct. Then you're going to select the pack that you want to purchase. For me, it's going to be the $99 pack, which here I will be able to save $14 on it, which is a 14% discount. All I have to do is click top up now, make sure that I continue to purchase, and just like that, within minutes, you are going to receive your currency directly to your game. It's really that simple, fast, and easy. So click the link in the description and check out lootbar.gg. Let's talk about Ascension and Trace level up materials. These are going to be the ones that are going to take you the longest time to attain and are going to be the ones that are going to give you the hardest time because they're really hard to keep track of because of the whole conversion thing. Luckily, we have a few resources at our disposal to help us keep track of where we are, and then that way we avoid over investing Trailblaze power and then wasting it when we could be just farming relics once we're done farming the traces. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is the official Hoyo Lab character leveling calculator, and essentially I'm going to leave this link in the description below for those of you who don't know how to access it. You log in using your account. As you can see, my own account is right here. You click here, and I'm going to do all because I don't have Kafka, so let me just pick up Kafka because I don't have it. So let's say I'm going to pre-farm for Kafka. You can come here and you essentially pick the level of trace materials or level of trace level that you want, and it tells you how much you actually need to get there. And it tells you, hey, you have this much of excess, you're missing 65, you're missing 128. Essentially, you can do this with every single character that comes out. The only caveat is that you have to wait until the official live stream for that character actually comes live. So for Tribbie, for example, it's probably going to be sometime this week. I think Friday is where it is. I think Friday is when the live stream is going to be for Tribbie. So after Friday, you're going to be able to come here and then actually look up how much or how many materials you are missing to farm Tribbie. You can also add a light cone. So for example, let's say I want to add her own light cone. It actually gives you, it updates it with the light cone added into it. So it's actually a very, very handy tool. So please take advantage of it. But again, you have to wait until the official live stream for that character comes up. In the meantime, before this becomes available for that character, I like to use this website called Hakush in for Honkai Star Rail. This is a gacha website that covers Genshin, ZZZ, WoWa, and I think in Honkai Star Rail as well. And it has a lot of information. It's kind of like a wiki website. They are the most up-to-date that I have found, and they're very, very helpful to help you navigate what to pre-farm. So for instance, we can't pre-farm this because it's a new material, but these are actually very, very important. And I'm going to touch on them a little bit later because people tend to forget about these, me included, right? And then the character comes out and then you still have to go out and farm these. So aside from that, if you go on a character screen, you scroll all the way to the bottom, it'll give you recommended sets as well, but it also give you an actual Ascent calculator, which is exactly the same thing that we were doing over on this website, but we can do it here a little bit earlier. So let's say you want to do the basic attack at 0. It'll essentially adjust as you go up. I don't know if you can see the numbers changing. You can pretty much adjust it to however many you want. And if, let's say there's one of the traits that you don't want to pick up, it'll actually adjust itself accordingly. So this is pretty much the same thing that the official Hoyo one has. The only difference is that this one doesn't tell you doesn't have the information of your inventory, so you can't really compare it to your own inventory, but you can kind of like keep track of it like this. So this is what I personally use when it's not available on the leveling calculator on Hoyo's side. Now for Tribbie, you are going to want to farm pretty much everything because she wants everything to be maxed. The only thing that could get away with not being maxed out is the basic attack. You can leave it at level 4. As I mentioned before, these level up materials here you see on the bottom, these are the ones that you get from farming the overworld in Amphorius. You can also get them from Simulated Universe and via various other means. You can get some of the green ones in the shop as well, but they're not going to be enough to actually get your Tribbie all the way maxed out. So you are going to want to go ahead and farm the overworld at least a few days out of the week to make sure you have this. And also, if you want to go above and beyond, you can also do the dispatch assignments. You can actually get it to where's the dispatch? Wait, you can actually set up dispatch assignments to get the record of expeditions, because these are the ones that you're going to need. As you can see, I am already on the way of farming them. And I've been doing it since Enforius came out because I knew that all the characters were going to come out and we're all going to need it. So if we come over here to my inventory, we can actually see that I already have 52, 199, 662. So essentially from Tribbie, you're going to need about 100 of the purple ones, which translates to about 300 of these or 900 of these. Luckily, you can go ahead and convert them. So you can kind of work out the math, or you can just wait till Friday and then you can use the HSR level calculator and then you can tell how much or how many exactly do you need extra. Now, another thing that people tend to forget is that you can actually come here to the store, and for those of you who have been summoning, you can actually go here into the Embers Exchange and then grab a few of the level up materials, which as you can see, I have done already. I did it for the Remembrance Path. Now I'm doing for Tribbie as well. And I also picked up the green ones of this because they're very, very important. Right now, I'm actually on the hunt for more Tracks of Destiny because I only have 6. I need 8 of them. So I am going to be hunting 2 more down, and I don't want to spend these because I am going to save them for a massive summon session sometime next year. But this is another area that you can also get experience log, adventure log materials. You can get relic level up materials, and you can also get credits, which are also very important. You need about 4.1 million credits just for the character itself. Now let's talk about the fun stuff. This is my Hanya, and she's currently wearing my Tribbie setup. And essentially her best in slot 2-piece set, which is the one that you want to be farming, is going to be the new Poet set. The new Poet set gives you 10% quantum damage, decreases your speed by 1%, and if it's less than 95 or 110, you get either 20% or 32% crit rate accordingly. Now, notice that 32% crit rate is essentially the same thing as a 32%, let me see if I can find one, is the same thing as a 32% chest. So essentially by running the 4-piece relic set, you are technically running a chest of crit rate, right? So now I'm pretty much wearing both crit rate and crit damage chest technically when it comes to stats. Now the reason this set is very, very important is because it decreases her speed by about 8%, right? So I did a little bit of calculation here for how much speed you actually can get away with having on your Tribbie. I'm going to put it right here. So Tribbie has 96 speed. I don't know if you see it over here. Let me see if I can make it bigger. No, I can't. Tribbie has a base speed of 96, and this decreases your speed by about 8%, which puts your speed at base with this set on at 88.3. Now, since we can only have a max of 95, that means you have about 6.6 speed to work with, which means that if you get a piece that has 2 speed on it, you can probably still use it because it's not going to ruin your set. Only when this speed that's out here in the main stat, only when this speed on Tribbie is more than 95 is when you're going to start losing your 4-piece relic set. If you get on the fight and your speed goes higher than 95, it won't matter. You're still going to have the crit rate. So just make sure that on the screen, she has less speed than 95 if you are going to run the Poet set. Now, because Tribbie got a little bit of a rework, right? She actually has a bit of a different setup that she can run and actually be very strong. And that's going to be with the Genius set, which is the Quantum set. And this is going to be a faster version. Remember, the Poet set is going to be very slow. This one you can run a little bit faster. On the Quantum set, you still get the 10% quantum damage, and you also get 10 or 20% defense ignore depending on the weakness of the enemy. But remember, we have characters coming out that are going to implant pretty much every single weakness on the enemy. So this is going to be a 20% defense ignore on top of her 30% vulnerability, on top of her 24% rest pen. And if you've seen my vulnerability versus defense shred video, you know how strong this actually is. But essentially this setup with the Quantum set, you're going to want her to run speed boots instead of attack boots. So you're going to run something like this. And it'll probably work. And the reason it does work is because now she gets a lot of energy. And if you can get more energy via her basic attack, it means that she's going to be firing off more ultimates more frequently. And that leads to you using the Dance 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 light cone. With her being pretty much a Dance 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 spam bot at a higher speed, you essentially turn her into a mini Robin for advancing your team pretty much every other turn. and you're gonna get a lot of value from a DDD spam bot for Tribbie build. Don't worry, I will try to showcase all of these setups when she releases, so don't worry about that. But her recent reworks have made it actually that this is something that's doable and possible for her to do because of how good her energy economy is. Now, do keep in mind that since Tribbie is an HP scaling character, not running HP boots is going to be a hit on your overall damage, and that means that also you're going to have to run an HP orb instead of a quantum orb, which is slightly better. Now, you can argue that you can run also an HP rope, but the energy recharge rope is actually more impactful than any iteration of HP rope. So unless you're going for her S1, I don't think the HP rope is going to be too helpful for the majority of players. I think the majority of players will be better off by just farming or trying to farm the energy regen rope. But we're going to go a little bit more in depth on the rope a little bit later. Actually, we can just start with this. So we can segue into relic sets or planar sets, right? For the planar sets, you truly have a few different options. The main one that we currently have available is going to be the Inner Salsodo. The reason being is because it gets you 8% crit rate, and then it also gets you 15% follow-up and ultimate damage, which is where most of Tribbie's action damage comes from. So our follow-ups are going to do more damage, ultimate's going to do more damage, she's going to have more crit rate, which means she's going to do more damage. Just between the planar and relic set, you have 40% crit rate, she gets 12. That's already 52% crit rate that you have just by her existing. No substats, no nothing else. We're not even counting if you run the crit rate chest. If you run crit rate chest, she's already sitting at 84% crit rate, which is actually crazy. Which is why I believe Inner Salsodo is probably her best offensive option that we have currently in the game. However, we have other options. One of the more important ones is going to be Von Walk. The Von Walk is going to allow you to hit that basic attack, that initial basic attack that will enable your ultimate to go off a little bit quicker. And in the fast setup, this is probably going to be the way you want to do it, because it actually, that 40% action advance is very, very significant. Now, after the initial actions of the battle, this secondary part is not going to matter. All that matters is going to be this 5% energy recharge rate. And as you saw my previous video on Tribbie, this energy recharge rate by itself doesn't do too much. It's only very good when you pair it up with an energy regen rope. And this applies to every single planar set that gives you 5% energy. For example, the Lushaka, which is the one that I'm going to personally run until I farm the next set that's going to come out, which is going to be her personal best in slot. The only reason I'm running this is because right now our HP scaling characters are not released yet. My Day and Casters are not out, so the attack percent increase is actually very good, and the 5% energy regen rate mixed or added to the 19% from the energy recharge rope, it's going to make me hit some energy breakpoints that I discussed in my previous video. And also it's because it's the one I have that has the best stats. Okay, I don't have Salsodo with good stats, otherwise I would be using that one. So in my opinion, if you have a good Salsodo HP set that you want to run, you can probably throw it in here. That'll be my personal favorite. If you have Von Walk, that'll be my second recommendation. And if you don't have those, Lushaka also works. And if you don't have that, then you can also do a Penacony set, which is essentially the same thing. It gives you 10% damage bonus for quantum characters. So for characters like Jade and Casters, when she comes out, this will probably be a good option as well. Now let's segue into main stats. Her being a damage dealing harmony character, she wants crit damage or crit rate, whichever one you choose. If you have a crit rate chest, it's going to be very, very easy for her to land her crits. And if you, so this will make up for bad crit rate rolls on your substats, but mainly you want crit rate if you can. Crit damage is good as well if you have good crit rate substats, and you could technically use HP chest if you have insane crit rate rolls. And this is only doable in the Poet set because, like I said before, you get 32% crit rate from the 4-piece, which is essentially a crit rate chest. So if you have a cracked out HP chest, let me see if I have one. Like if you have a cracked out HP chest with crit rate, crit damage, like let's say you have this and this rolls insane, and then you're still able to keep a good crit rate, then HP chest is probably viable for you, but it will only be viable for you on the Poet set because it's the only one that can make up for the lost crit rate via the 4-piece set. Now let's talk about the boots. The boots is going to be very situational. Depends on what build of Tribbie you want to use. Because I talked about the new build for Tribbie, the new speedy build for Tribbie, HP boots used to be the best in slot, de facto best in slot, but now speed boots are a little bit more viable if you're going to use her for a Dance 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 spam bot. Obviously, if you're going to use speed boots, it's not going to be on the Poet set because you're kind of working against yourself. So this would be speed boots on Quantum set and then HP boots on the Poet set. There's really no other options here and for most people, it's just going to be HP boots regardless. We already touched a little bit about the orb. So quantum damage boost is probably going to be her best orb that increases her own personal damage, but the HP orb is very, very close. So whichever one has the better substats is probably going to be the better one. I would actually prefer the HP because one, she does more damage, and two, it's HP. So it's a double usage on your HP, which is something I really, really like. So in my opinion, just go for whichever one has the best substats. For me, this quantum orb is just insane. It has 10 HP, crit rate, and crit damage. So I can't really ask for more than that. So I just use this until I can farm the next set that's going to come out, which is going to be very, very strong for her. All right, now finally we have the rope, and for most people it's going to be energy regen rope for reasons that I stated in my previous video. If you haven't seen that video, please go check it out. It's very informative when it comes to Tribbie stats and energy economy. But for most people, it's going to be energy regen rope, especially if she's E0 as 0. Energy regen rope is going to be the go-to for you. If you have the 5% planar set, so if you're running Lushaka, Penacony, or the Von Walk, then the energy regen rope is going to help you get to those energy breakpoints. It'll help you get ultimates a little bit quicker than if you just had energy regen rope by itself. Now, a caveat is that if you are running the Mission Cogs light cone, then you can actually get away with not getting an energy regen rope, because Mission Cogs is going to make up for the energy regen rope for the energy regen that the rope gets you. So if you're running her S1 or the Meshing Cogs, then you can also get away with not running energy regen rope. Otherwise, it's always going to be energy regen rope. All right, guys, that's going to be the end of my Tribbie pre-farm guide. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. And until next time, guys, see ya.